Hello, it's April the 6th, 2018, and I'm going to go over Q posts today, but I want to show you guys how I do my research so that at some point in time you can do some of your own. The first post that I'm going to start with today is post 1028. It says 5 semicolon 5 of 5, and it's from Q plus, which is one of the Q entities. These guys, what I believe they're doing is using the 8chan board to communicate among themselves also, not just to communicate to us, but to communicate to each other. And you'll understand that a little bit more as I get into the research today. The first thing I do is I click on this and open up a window. Now this takes you back to the 8chan board where that post is. Alright, now this is that post. If you just scroll over these, it brings up the comments that other people have made. And of course, now these are the guys that do the research back on the board. And you can get into this, but I found one here that I wanted to show you. And then at this point, all you got to do is click on it, and it brings it up. Now, this guy says, gratitude to all. POTUS, Q-Team, all military, patriots, Anons, believers, red pillars, lurkers, and all who are engaged in fighting the fight. I have been lurking since the beginning of November. Lurking means just going around the backboard and looking at things. Don't post. That's just looking at things. And that's what I recommend. I do not recommend anybody go back here and post anything. Alright, first post yesterday, RE the AIDS lies, and just wish to post this message, then back to lurking as I wish only to learn and red pill others. Somehow stumbled upon Q Intel, immediately identified drops as the absolute truth. We are from down under, the land of easygoing sheeple, yet some of us are awake. Our media lies 24/7. The China takeover is happening down under is a horror story. Most of us are blind to what's going on or have simply given up. Humanity needs America strong and invincible. Our prayers are with you. Thank you so much. Tremendous admiration for all those dedicated to the Great Awakening. Drain the swamp and replace with love, kindness, peace, and iron fists of God's truth and justice. Godspeed to POTUS, Q, military, any and all in danger. Prayers and love to the fallen and recent souls lost in a helicopter crash. May God protect and guide all to great success. Good versus evil. Hooray for triumph. Hooray. R.I.P. JFK and JNR and Bro, Seth too, and many, many others. POTUS, please protect the children ASAP. You are doing great works already, many still suffering, and I know this weighs heavily upon your heart. May God bless and protect you, POTUS. Justice be served, truth shall prevail. Cankles and Bonehead will know terror, and yet this won't come anywhere near to the horrors they have perpetrated upon humanity. Roths to rot in hell. Great thirst for you, Lynn, you worthless piece of shit. Life has meaning again. Many people plagued by depression, addiction, hopelessness, and learned helplessness are now awakening. They have hope and purpose. Bring on the storm, make it rain. The great awakening is now. God bless America. God bless POTUS and Q-Team. Love Sessions. Love Flynn. Please help Aussie, Australia, I guess. USA, USA, USA. Anyway, we're at war right now, and that's what Q's telling us. We've got one shot at this, and only one shot at this. So let's all make it count. Next post, 1029. It says, thank you for your prayers. Forced reaction. One of many vehicles. Intercepts. Night number 2. Birds, fast movers. Force projection. April showers. Q. So there's a lot going on. We're at night 2. We're going to get into some of the casualties a little later on in the post here, but that's where we're at. Next post. Q gives us this article, and then he says, coincidence or silent war? Question mark. Pray. Night 2. Q. Yeah, now here's the article. Deadly Thunderbird crash marks the 4th military aircraft incident this week. This is a CBS News article from yesterday. And here is video.
In the Air Force, a pilot with the famed Thunderbirds, but he was killed during a training exercise yesterday in the Nevada desert. Here's Vladimir Duthier.
They are America's top guns, executing the most extraordinary combat maneuvers in formation. They were performing a routine training exercise at Nellis Air Force Base when one of their own, Major Stephen Del Bagno, was killed. It was the 3rd crash of a Thunderbird jet in the past 2 years, the first death in 35 years. 34-year-old Del Bagno had just become a red helmet, flying solo since January. After receiving his wings, he had this to say in a promotional video.
Once you don that red helmet, it means you no longer have your instructor in the back seat. So it's a bit surreal.
To be a part of the Thunderbirds is to be the best of the best.
Mark Rosenker is a retired Major General in the Air Force Reserves and the former head of the NTSB.
These are no more difficult or no more dangerous than any of the maneuvers that the typical fighter pilots are flying when they are in formation.
Crashes are rare for these highly trained demonstration teams, and fatalities even more so. Since the last deadly crash in 1982, there have been 10 deaths. 3 years ago, we flew with another one of the military's elite squadrons, the Navy's Blue Angels, as Captain Jeff Cuse prepared for an air show.
All right, there we go. Squeeze your legs. Take a deep breath.
He was also killed in a training incident a year later.
In a statement today, the Del Bagno's commander said, "We are mourning the loss of Major Del Bagno. He was an integral part of our team, and our hearts are heavy with his loss." The team's participation at the March Air Reserve Base, the March Field Air and Space Expo, has been canceled. It's unknown how this accident will impact the remainder of the 2018 Thunderbird season, Jeff.
The article just pretty much repeats the news clip, but that's the article that Q had linked to. So we're at night 2. Post number 1031. Oh, that's where he links to that article. All right, that's Deadly Thunderbirds. Now back on the 8chan board, that's what it looks like. Coincidence or silent war, Prey, Night 2, Q. And there's the image that he links to. If you click on that image, Q says, he links to this post that says satellite hack, GPS spoof. So that's how I do my research, back and forth between fell from Spaceport and the 8chan board. Accident or retaliation? Q. So give that some thought. Accident or retaliation? Just about anyone can do it, but like I say, I've never posted back there. This was a big space to ever post back there. Let's go look at it. See, I'll show you what this thing was. That's the smartest thing for anybody else to do. It's amazing. And unless you've been trained on those boards back there, it's easy to get lost. Here's some articles I pulled on. It's easy to not know where you're at first. So I recommend just hanging around back there and checking. That was on an aircraft carrier. Very interesting. You're going to learn November 22nd, 2017. Next post, 1032. This, think Navy attack at the Travis Air Force Base in California. Remember all the ship crashes March the 23rd was this article. Bigger than you know. And that was an incident where a terrorist crashed into the base with China for some time. There was a chemical release. It's just a fact. We've been at war with some of the people. There was a propane tank carrying propane here's an article I found. And there was a chemical release, and some of the Navy's members of the base were poisoned. This was back in August 24th, 2017. Stirring concerns about hackers targeting U.S. warships. Here is a picture of the USS John S. McCain. It was named after the trader's father. I mean, there's a lot of damage there. Here's a picture of the USS Fitzgerald. And look at that. I mean, that's major, major stuff. And if hackers are getting in to the guidance to the GPS of these ships and disabling it so that they can't steer or track where they're going or track other ships. Here's a guided missile destroyer. This is the John S. McCain again. That's a different picture. But this is some major stuff. All right, here is a clip. Let's play this and see what it's got to say. Wow, we've got some amazing equipment.
Hooters Air puts the fun back into flying. Wait a minute. Hooters girls on every flight. Hooters had an airline? All leather seats with extra legroom. Call 1-888-FLY-HOOT. You might...
Wow, we've got some amazing equipment. That's for darn sure. But hey, it could be very vulnerable to hacking attacks. That's insane. So, and that appears to be what's happened here. Next post, 1033. Okay, I think I've tied something together here that Q's really pointing us to. He links us to an Anon's
Now
post
here's
that
one
says,
where
"Satellite
Q had
hack
typed
a W, GPS spoof," and he says, "What fell from space
Everybody's
recently?"
saying
W, typo, question mark. He says,
and
accident or retaliation?
Q says, confirmed typo.
Question mark. Q. Well, I'm not sure I believe that. I believe that if the Chinese were using their satellite,
There's a lot of people on the board
to
that don't believe
hack
that.
into our military vessel GPS systems, that we would very well be justified in shooting that thing down. So my guess is that's exactly what happened. So tell me that this isn't high-level intelligence, and tell me that we're not at war, and tell me that the mainstream media doesn't know their butt from a hole in the ground. So anyway, let's take a look at what this thing's really supposed to be compared to what it really is. Now here we go. What recently fell from space? See, and you go back here and you can go over these and see what other Anons have said. So you can learn a lot from this. And they'll sometimes link to articles. You can go do some research that way. So here is an article on the crash of the space lab. When will China's heavenly palace fall back to Earth? Well, it's already done that, but this is an article on it. But here's another article on the space lab itself. This thing was huge. This was the Tiangong 1 mission will mark China's first attempt to dock two spacecraft together, a vital skill that will be needed to build a large space station in orbit. See, this thing is big. That's an image with 3 crew members inside, so I guess it's not as big as I thought. 34 feet long and 11 feet is as big as a school bus anyway. So, far cry from a football field, huh? I know. But as big as a school bus, it was a pretty big station. And they were going to tie 3 of these things together. So they lost control of it and it fell to Earth. Well, or was it shot down? Was its communications array shot out? I believe that was a little bit more of the what really happened. Anyway, I'll leave links to these articles so that you can look at them. All right, post 1034. Q links to the post that we just went over that says what fell from space recently, accident or retaliation. And then he says, when was Hussein in China? Track events, timeline. We are in control. And he signs it with a W. Well, we'll go over the W in a minute, but I want to go back to the 8chan board. There's some interesting comments back there on this one. So we'll go over some of their thoughts. Okay, now there's several things back here. See, you go back here and you just scroll over these. And this guy says, whoa, are you saying China and Obama were responsible for starting all the California wildfires? That's a good possibility. See, these guys are on their toes, and they do a lot of work. I never would have guessed in a million years that World War III would be fought in silence. Mind-blowing. And that's exactly what's happening, people. It's time to wake up. Wizards and warlocks. We're at war and hardly anyone even knows it. Unreal. Fact. That's a fact. Hardly anyone even knows it. Anyway, I pulled a couple of articles out of here after having gone through all these. And trust me, I go through all of these. It's a good thing to do. It's good practice to get into. It's kind of fun. All right, the articles I pulled up. Here's one. Barack is back. Obama returns to the world stage with visits to China and India. This was in November of 2017. He was running around the country talking to all these world leaders, either right in front of or right behind Donald Trump. Very treasonous actions, by the way. Very treasonous. Some of these guys think that he was carrying around world secrets in his pockets in a thumb drive. Here's another one. Barack Obama's portrait may have been made in China. Very possible. Very possible. Was the presidential portrait of Barack Obama made in China? Sources say artist, whatever his name is, who painted the former president before a background of greenery and flowers, has studios in China and produces most of his work there. There you go. Xi Jinping praises Barack Obama for contributions to the Sino-U.S. ties. And this was in November of 2017. So he was running around starting World War III, basically. Anyway, I thought I'd pull those up to show you how this worked. But that's, you know, that's how you do that. This guy says your fingers are getting tired. You hit W instead of Q. Well, that's a possibility. But it may also be code. Even though he says it wasn't. Just keep that in mind. What did he say? He said misdirection is something like that. I can't think of the word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let's get on with this. As we mosey on here. Next post. Here's a link to the video again from the military. Most of you have seen it. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in here. It's only 2 minutes long. So we're going to put it in here again, just for those who haven't seen it. Next post, 1037. Booms en route. Blind. 5 of 5. And then here's a code. Green 578C DT324-45785SD4 DMP. Alright, now this is where I say they're using this board to communicate with each other. That means absolutely nothing to most of the people back on this board. And we'll go back here and I'll show you. All right. Now, if you go over here, I don't understand what this guy is saying. And he says, "Oh well, I guess it wasn't meant for me to understand." Here's another one. They were using the caravan to invade us, weren't they? Now they are attacking by air. The people need to know enough is enough. This isn't enough. So there's just another copy. I have popcorn Q. Release the video. I have no clue what is going on. The island? Question mark. Well, this is in Yemen. This is north of Yemen. We'll get to a map here in a minute and see. James 5:5. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of slaughter. Also, Green was a helicopter pilot that was killed in the crash at the Rothschilds. Now, here is where Q links to this from another post. And he says, device hold, comms transfer castle, chatter, rig for silent, Q plus. So this is Q plus. So we get a code from Q, and Q plus answers it with device hold, comms transfer castle, chatter, rig for silent, Q plus. So these guys are using this board to talk to each other. This is the biggest intelligence drop in the history of the world, and people don't even know we're at war. And we're being allowed to see private communications between the operators. This is something big. People just need to understand what's going on. This is something big. So, but that's how they're talking to each other. That's what I wanted you guys to see. If you look at this, if you go back and look at this, they both have the same sign on. They're signing on with the same code from different machines, but they're talking to each other. So that's what's going on here. People need to understand that. Some of these guys will post some amazing stuff. I like to go back here and look at it. So that's cute. That's why I like to do this kind of research. All right, next post, 1038. And this is what I was telling you about. Q links to this last post. This is 1037. And Q Plus links to it and says device hold, comms transfer, castle chatter, rig for silent, Q Plus. People don't have any idea what this is. People don't have any idea what he's saying. But you can go back to this post on the backboard by clicking this link and opening a window. So there is this post, and then you can check to see what everybody else posted. Say, here's a guy, internal comms, it seems, what a privilege, 07. It's exactly what it is, internal comms. So, of course, these guys post all kinds of stuff. But they need our prayers. And they're protecting us. And I believe this is a full-out war right now with China. I think that's what's really going on. And nobody knows it. Well, few people know it. Few people know it as fact. 1039. There's an article in the New York Times. And it says, here we go, Q. So Q is saying, here we go. He's given us an article in the New York Times. Let's go look at it. All right. It says the conspiracy theory that says Trump is a genius. Well, now that it's been proven that Trump is a genius, it's all of a sudden a conspiracy theory. Last week, Roseanne Barr, who with the hit reboot of her show has become one of the most prominent Donald Trump supporters in the country, tweeted that the president has freed hundreds of children a month from sexual bondage. That's not a theory, that's fact. He has broken up trafficking rings in high places everywhere, she wrote. That tweet has since been deleted. Well, it's true. And do a little research. Like I say, if you go back on the Q board, there's a whole board dedicated to child sex trafficking, and there is article after article after article of arrest after arrest. Hundreds, thousands of people have been arrested. Thousands of children have been freed from these predators. Barr's tweet, puzzling to the casual observer, was a reference to QAnon, an expansive, complicated pro-Trump conspiracy theory. Now here, QAnon's a conspiracy theory, which is fine, I guess, if that's the way they want to think of us in the news media, but it's not going to be thought of that way for long. That's for sure. The theory is fascinating. It's an artifact of our current political derangement, but more than that, it's profoundly revealing about the lengths to which some Trump supporters will go to convince themselves that this presidency is going well. Well, damn. It's going well if you want to consider that we're in a major world war. We're in World War III, and people don't realize it. We're losing soldiers, and people don't think we're at war because the news media won't cover this stuff. If they'd cover it the way it should be covered, people would realize that we are at war. This is a real war. Q says we're at war. We're at war. I don't know how many times I can say that, but we're at war. People need to get that through their damn heads. When someone claiming to have Q-level security clearance started a cryptic thread on 4chan, the online message board and troll playground, it was titled "The Calm Before the Storm." Well, and President Trump said, "This is the calm before the storm." You think that was a coincidence? No. From these clues, a sprawling community on message boards and YouTube videos and Twitter accounts has elaborated an enormous, ever-mutating fantasy narrative about the Trump presidency in QAnon reality. Trump only preluded to collude with the Russians in order to create a pretext for the hiring of Robert Mueller, the special counsel who is actually working with Trump to take down an inconceivably evil and powerful network of coup plotters and sex traffickers that include Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and George Soros. So here we go. We're in the mainstream news media. This article is in the New York Times. QAnon has hit the New York Times. Here we go. So that post is exactly right. Here we go. Here we go. Post 1039. Next post, 1040. It links back to 1039 and it says, "Would you believe they called the White House for comment prior to publishing?" Q. Oh, laugh my ass off, I'm telling you. They don't get it. And post 1041, he links back to 1040, and he says, and he just says Q. It's an article in Fox News, and I've got that article pulled up too. Says, string of U.S. military aircraft crashes in 2018 continues a deadly trend. So, this is not a coincidence. These happen. At a press conference Thursday, the director of the Pentagon's Joint Staff refused to say the crashes marked a negative trend when a reporter asked if military aviation was in crisis. "I would reject wave and crisis," said Marine Lieutenant General Kenneth F. McKenzie, Jr. "We are looking at each one in turn. Each one is tragic. We regret each one. We will look at them carefully. I am certainly not prepared to say this is a wave of mishaps or some form of crisis. But the crashes this week indicate a continuation of a disturbing pattern. I would say so. There have been 5 non-combat aviation crises in 2018, killing 9 service members. 37 were killed in aircraft crashes last year, nearly double the number killed in 2016. Only 37% of Marine Corps' heavy lift helicopters can fly now. The head of Marine Corps Aviation, Lieutenant General Stephen R. Rudder, told Congress in November. Let's play this, just for the heck of it.
According to officials we've spoken to here at the Pentagon, it was a U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds pilot who was killed. The identity of the pilot is being withheld until next of kin can be notified. His F-16 Fighting Falcon crashed over the Nevada Test and Training Range yesterday at approximately 10:30 a.m. I'm told the crash occurred during a routine aerial demonstration training flight. The crash occurred at Nellis Air Force Base outside Las Vegas. It marks the 3rd crash for the Air Force Thunderbirds in less than 2 years. The Thunderbirds, of course, are the Air Force's premier flight demonstration team and perform at dozens of air shows throughout the country each year, Sandra.
Jennifer, this is the third military air crash in 2 days. Why are we seeing this upsurge?
Well, that's right, Sandra. This fatal F-16 crash follows the crash of a Marine Corps Super Stallion helicopter in Southern California Tuesday afternoon, which killed 4 Marines on board that training flight. Earlier Tuesday, in the East African nation of Djibouti, a Marine Corps Harrier jet crashed on takeoff. The pilot ejected and is currently in stable condition, according to the Marine Corps. All in all, there have been 5 non-combat aviation crashes this year alone, killing 9 service members. 37 U.S. service members were killed in non-combat aviation crashes last year, nearly double the number killed in 2016. Congressman Mac Thornberry, the Republican chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, warned in an interview Wednesday he doesn't want to see the Trump administration rob the Pentagon of critical readiness dollars needed to fix military aircraft in order to fund additional border security. The Pentagon just received $700 billion as part of last month's omnibus spending bill. A sizable portion of that is supposed to help fix these readiness issues that the Pentagon has warned is leading to more crashes, Sandra.
So we've had 4 crashes in the last month. That's way too many. All right, that's the last post. So I'll get this out to you. If you appreciate my analysis, please like and share. And thank you very much. I will talk to you next time.